you were here on time, ladies and gentlemen. And we are not going to be wasting any more time. We will right away start and get into the business. But before I do that, let me acknowledge the presence of MECs who are here. We have 6 MECs that are in attendance here, that are members of the Northwest Provincial Executive Council. And we also have the Leader of Government Business, MEC Nono Maloi, who will take you through the statement for this particular briefing. And we are also joined by the Director General, Tate Paul Mokhotle, as well as the HOD for Finance, Tate Kunene. And on that score, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to right away start, and I will invite the MEC to then take us through the statement.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think from the onset, let me indicate that the Premier would have wished to be here with us today, but due to some illness, he will not be able to make it. As indicated earlier on, this is the post-EXCO media briefing. We had a meeting of the Executive Council, which was quite successful, to discuss a number of issues emanating from discussions that took place in cluster committees of the Executive. And the main focus in that EXCO was to discuss issues of service delivery in the province. But I want to start by indicating that on the 27th of April, which is next week, the Northwest Province will be hosting a national event on Freedom Day, which will be addressed by the President of the Republic of South Africa, Rematamela. And we are expecting not less than 5,000 citizens of the Northwest to be part of that event. It will be taking place in Matlosana, and we are inviting you to be there. So this is not the only event. You might have realized as media people that we've been hosting a number of national and international events in the Northwest. We hosted a World TB Day, which was addressed by the Deputy President in Tlhabani in Rustenburg. We also hosted the World Consumer Rights Day, which was hosted in Sun City. We also hosted the 2nd Annual Mining and Energy Investment Conference in Sun City as well. We will be very soon hosting the World Farmers Organization conference or assembly around May this year. So you will realize that the Northwest is becoming a destination not only for people of this country, but also for people who are from outside this country. So it means as the Northwest, we have a responsibility to ensure that as we host these events, Northwest is a province that has got all the necessary facilities, including Northwest becoming a #1 province in the country. So we are grateful that we are hosting all these events because it is important for us to do so. Now let me focus on the interventions that we are making in different municipalities and what the EXCO have decided to do as it relates to challenges that impacts on our ability to deliver quality services to our people. In November 2021, the Executive Council resolved to place 8 municipalities under mandatory intervention, which is Section 139, subsection 5A and C of the Constitution, read together with Section 139 up to 140 of the Municipal Finance Management Act. Those municipalities are Naledi Municipality, Dr. Ruth Sekgomotsi Mompati District Municipality, Madibeng Local Municipality, Khetleng River Local Municipality, Ramotshere Muilwa, and Tswaing Local Municipality. We also added Ditsobotla and Mahikeng in order to ensure that this intervention does also respond to challenges that you know of. The provincial government has, in implementing the mandatory intervention, adopted the following principles to ensure that all affected stakeholders understand and fully embraces the intervention. Firstly, a role player engagement and activation process, strengthening the municipal finance recovery service, and thirdly, transparency and participation. The provincial treasury, working together with COCTA and SALGA, held a sustained engagement with affected municipalities in July 2021, as well as in November 2021. You will recall that we had elections in 2021, and immediately after those elections, this engagement ensued or proceeded. It was during this engagements that mayors of municipalities were taken through the outcome of an assessment conducted in line with provisions of Section 138, 139, and 140 of the MFMA, which determines the criteria for a municipality in financial crisis and the mandatory framework thereof. Now, in preparation for the implementation of the mandatory implementation, the provincial government, National Treasury, and National COCTA convened a role player engagement and activation consultation session in April and May 2022, where the affected municipal councils and senior officials were consulted with a sole purpose to build awareness on the requirements of Section 139 of the Constitution and Chapter 13 of the MFMA. Furthermore, when there is a financial crisis in any municipality, Section 139, subsection 5 of the Constitution requires that the provincial executive must impose a recovery plan. The findings of the status quo assessment will be used to prepare and appropriate the recovery plan that we are talking about. The provincial executive representatives, commonly known as the PERs, were appointed to oversee the implementation of the financial recovery plan in those affected municipalities. The provincial treasury has now placed the PER in all those municipalities to implement the plan which we spoke about earlier on. A panel of municipal financial recovery services has been established to support the PERs in those municipalities to execute their functions. The successful implementation of municipal interventions is underpinned by good cooperation by all stakeholders, which is your National Treasury, Provincial Treasury, COCTA National, COCTA Provincial, SALGA, and so on. EXCO has therefore agreed that additional resources must be included to ensure that the following pillars are there to oversee the day-to-day operations of the municipalities to give effect to the implementation recovery plan. Focus will be on governance, institutional capacity aspect, legal aspect, service delivery aspect, which will also include your engineers, because you should be knowing by now that we have a problem of engineers in the entire province, whether it's on issues related to water and so on and so forth. All these efforts are undertaken to stabilize the affected municipalities and ensure that they can effectively render the much needed services to the public and to sustain this stability in a long term, because we wanted it to be a long-term situation, not to intervene each and every year. We also dealt with issues of military veterans, because you should be knowing by now that there are challenges as it relates to military veterans, housing for military veterans, issues of their health, social services, their involvement in the economy of the province and so on. We had, as the EXCO, had to deal with those issues and say it is necessary for us to focus on those issues. And we have also mandated the Department of Human Settlement to interact with their national counterparts, including the Department of Military Veterans at the national level, to ensure that the issues that are not attended to are attended to expeditiously. We had also discussed the issues of Northwest Transport Investment, which is NTI. You all know by now that there are serious challenges in that area, and we felt that it will be necessary for us to deal with this matter as quickly as possible. And I will not go into details because some of the issues are now before the courts in order for the courts to close this chapter once and for all. Because NTI is an important area for our province, and we can't allow NTI to collapse in our hands. Now, let me now zoom into the provincial preliminary revenue and expenditure for the period that ended on the 31st of March 2023. I know everybody has been waiting for this part, and we think it is necessary for us to deal with this part. The aggregate preliminary expenditure of the province as at the end of March 2023 amounts to 49 billion or 96.42% of the 51.7 billion adjusted appropriation. I must indicate that all provincial departments recorded expenditure above 90%, and 8 of them recorded expenditure above 95%, which contributed to the departmental spending improvement compared to the same period in the last financial year. Resultantly, the preliminary under expenditure as at the end of 2022-23 financial year amounts to 1.8 billion or 3.58%. Of the 1.8 billion, unspent conditional grants amount to 1 billion. And the equitable share account for the remainder of the under expenditure, which is 849 million. The breakdown of the unspent conditional grant is as follows. Health, 302 million. Education, 383 million. Public Works and Roads, 227 million. Agriculture and Rural Development, 64 million. Arts, Culture, Sports and Recreation, 32 million. And Human Settlement, 7.5 million. Now, in line with Section 21 of the DORA, number 5 of 2022, the 1 billion unspent conditional grants would be subjected to the rollover process. The above-mentioned provision of DORA provides that departments will have an opportunity to submit requests for rollover to committed identifiable projects. The province has already commenced with this process, and the departments are expected to submit such requests by the end of April 2023 for consideration by the transferring officers or accounting officers of the national departments and national treasury prior to the adjustment budget processes, which is normally tabled in October, November of each year. In terms of DORA, read together with the PFMA, approved rollover requests, which processes is applicable in all provinces, including national departments. Unspent unconditional conditional grants funds would only revert back to the National Revenue Fund post finalization of these critical processes, including but not limited to confirmation of expenditure numbers through the audit processes, which therefore suggest that the 1 billion that we are talking about did not go back to Treasury. It is still here, and so on. The Northwest Provincial Government wishes to indicate that as at the beginning of 2023-24 financial year, no unspent conditional grant funds for 2022-23 financial year have been returned to the National Revenue Fund. Nothing has been returned. And all the affected departments have commenced with the preparatory work to submit rollover requests for the entire unspent conditional grant funding. So, as indicated above, the process will be concluded before the tabling of the adjustment budget in November 2023. The above-mentioned figures would be subjected to a comprehensive and detailed verification, including auditing by the Office of the Auditor General. The audited numbers will be included in the 2022-23 annual reports of the departments, which will be tabled to the provincial legislature in line with the PFMA provisions as part of ensuring that the departments account to the legislature through the legislative processes for such expenditure. In an effort to ensure that the province does not record huge under expenditure with regard to the 2023-2024 conditional grant allocation, the Executive Council of the Northwest has resolved the following measures as a matter of agency. 1, strengthening the project planning preparation for implementation by the beginning of the new financial year, including commencement with necessary procurement processes by all the departments before the financial year starts. That's the instruction given after the decision of the Executive Council. Secondly, institutionalize infrastructure and conditional grant expenditure review on a quarterly basis at both technical level and at the Executive Council level. Oversee the monthly and quarterly enforcement of the procurement plan monthly and ensure implementation of corrective measures on a continuous basis. Introduction of the one-on-one expenditure review led by the Premier and the Provincial Treasury on a quarterly basis, including enforcement of the recovery or remedial plan on a continuous basis. Reallocation of budget to other critical expenditure based on a 6-month assessment, and such reallocation should be done across all the departments. The adjustment budget will be used to reallocate budgets from non-spending programs to critical expenditure priorities of government. An EXCO sign-off of all infrastructure and conditional grant projects by November 2023 for implementation in the new financial year, with commitments including measures for redress. The above-mentioned figures are issued and published in terms of Section 32 of the PFMA. The statement of the provincial receipts and payments is based on the 12 months departmental revenue and expenditure performance of the 2022-23 financial year. This information is submitted by the accounting officers of all provincial departments as per Section 40, subsection 4 of the PFMA reports to the Provincial Treasury, who in turn submit the same information to National Treasury. As part of the legislated accountability process, the information relating to the detailed departmental expenditure performance could be sourced from accounting officers of different departments. Now, MECs are here, few of them are not here. As you raise questions and so on, they will also be able to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MEC. Ladies and gentlemen, we are affording you the opportunity to raise questions, if any. I don't see hands. Oh, back, Obakeng, and then Tabang. You are the third one, my brother. Yes, Bucks. Just indicate your name and your media house.
My name is Provincial from Provincial News. I have two questions, but the relevant department will answer. On the issue of appointment of provincial EXCO representatives, you mentioned that these representatives will assist affected municipalities. The question is it this going to be an interference according to the municipal guidelines? Because if, according to the statement, it says that the representatives will also assist in appointing senior managers and also other positions. So the question is isn't this interference in the municipal council? The other question, what's your take regarding COSATU media statement where they said they are concerned after municipalities lost their conditional grant, and then they said this is actually the dereliction of duties, so debt must go. So are we going to see accountability on that issue? Another one, there are some allegations that some employees from Department of Public Works they have occupied a few houses which are actually belonging to the state. So my question is, are those employees were allowed to occupy those houses, and also is it actually legally so? And what was the plan? How long they have been occupied those houses? Are they paying rent or not? And how much it has cost the department for all this matter? And then my last question goes to Ake Nolomaloi. We have payoff flares next to Mawatu Stadium where that project is incomplete. And it seems that your department said is going to deal with those contractors who actually do work. What is happening with the project, and then how much it has cost taxpayers money? And then the last one is right now. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you, Tabang.
Thank you very much, Tabang Muruga from Provincial News Agency. My question is a follow-up based on the question that was just asked by my colleague here about the unspent funds, conditional grants of municipalities. Previously, there was a meeting that was held in Seasons whereby MEC for local government said that consequence management has been taken against those who were unable to utilize that much needed grant. So my question is, since from that meeting that happened, has there been any action that was taken after that meeting in terms of accountability for those who are responsible for this that has resulted in Treasury withholding some of the conditional grants in terms of accelerating service delivery. Is the government not aware of the challenges that the people are facing already for so many meetings to be held instead of action being taken in the ground? Thank you very much.
Deborah?
Colleagues, my name is Tewale Zerela from African Mail newspaper. My questions are much more focused on the Civil Harvest Department, where I had the MEC, that we are really transparent. In terms of NTI, can we be given a contrast of what is before the law or the code of law? Second of all, I just wanted to understand, is NTI having money to operate or not, due to the fact that currently its employees are still being owed and others are not paid? Those are some of the questions that I wanted to understand around NTI. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the round of question. Okay, Tebe will give us questions from the social media platforms.
One question
Okay. I just hope for a Vilagasuki for 1 billion Haibu, 1 billion Buili. However, the question will be responded to. Honorable MECs.
No, thank you very much, LGB and colleagues, my colleagues in EXCO, DG and HODs and all officials. And let me also greet our friends from the media and our MLOs who also are associated with our media friends. The question that has been asked, it's around, I think it was Obakeng was asking, it's around issues of EXCO representatives. And then whereby he's concerned more about, the concern is about issues of people that have been appointed as to whether there will not be any interference. If you look into the section 1395 of the Constitution, it's not the section 139 1B that we're used to. Section 1395 of the Constitution talks about the municipalities that have financial challenges. Historically, our municipalities in the last 5 years, they've adopted unfunded budgets. And as a result of that, municipalities have not been able to implement their SDP, BEP, and also their IDP. Remember, they consult with the communities and they make commitments to the communities that they bring services to them. But when they get to consolidate the budget, they then adopt an unfunded budget. By implication, that budget, we are adopting a plan which has no resources in terms of the budget to implement it, to respond to the needs of our communities out there. Now, with the intervention that we're bringing, it's a mandatory intervention by the Minister of Finance, who directs the MEC for Finance to go into, actually directs EXCO to impose a mandatory intervention, which talks to the implementation of the financial recovery plan. So that recovery plan, you need a collective of experts that works with the municipality to start to develop that into a financial recovery plan, whereby we assist them in terms of their budgeting process, whereby they're able to engage, they're going to start to engage with the creditors that they owe, whereby they start also to ensure that issues of revenue collection, the revenue streams are introduced. But part of that program assists the municipality to start to work on adopting a funded budget. And funded budget will never be adopted in over the next 2 years, because they must have a financial plan. We call it a financial. They develop also the financial plan. So at this stage, there's what we call financial rescue plan that assists municipalities to start to introduce that financial recovery plan. So in that process, you also need to ensure that there's management, there's leadership. So the financial, the EXCO reps, they are not taking the responsibilities of municipal managers. They are not even taking responsibilities of council. They work together with municipal managers to ensure that as we implement the financial recovery plan, you also have senior managers in place. Remember, issues of financial recovery plan, it also assists or provides support from a infrastructure point of view, whereby infrastructure plans that needs to be funded needs actually to also form part of that plan in terms of the financial recovery plan. So they will be providing support. They work together with the They all account to council, because there's going to be a multi-party committee, oversight committee established by council. So speakers, that's why they were invited in those meetings. And at the provincial level, the MEC for Finance accounts to EXCO, but there's an oversight committee led by the Premier, where the MEC for Finance and the MEC for COCTA are part of that committee. So actually in the Northwest, what is more also exciting is that the chairperson of the governance cluster, because that report, before it goes to COSCO, must go to cluster, it will be chaired by the MEC for COCTA, who happens to be the leader of government business. So that report, the MEC will take us through that process and tables to EXCO on quarterly basis. So there will not be any role play confusion in terms of who finally appoints the senior managers. Remember, we get into these municipalities where there's no senior management, but COCTA is dealing with that, is also addressing those challenges, supporting municipalities to start to advertise those posts, so that as and when we work together, those positions are filled. But those are squarely the responsibilities of the When we are there, we must ensure that there's a financial recovery plan, but also expenditure of municipalities must not be exorbitant or not be something that is not going to respond to the plans of the municipality. Whatever that is done must be done in line with that financial recovery plan process. But also, maybe as I conclude, the intention is also to ensure that your governance, the entire ecosystem of local government, your governance systems are strengthened, your institutional capacity, whereby I think the MEC for COCTA is leading the process of the skills audit plan. It will be supporting that program. Also your financial health, including, but at the end of the day, all this ecosystem must support your service delivery machinery. And we must be able to, as and when we unplug in that program, we are able to transfer skills. The recruitment process must also, in line with the organogram of the municipality, should also be ensured. I think, Chair, that was the only question from, yes.
You can repeat the last one if you want, the one on social media which talks about the 1 billion return. Just to repeat that, it's nothing like that.
No, yeah, maybe I should just add, the process is, as the book closed on the 31st of March, this report that we've published is a preliminary report until it's audited by the Auditor General. Now, the return of the money, is the money, yes, the department released the money, but we do answer because they do application for rollover entry requests, which normally we approve. And when we do the budget adjustment, we then build in that allocation, we reallocate that money, we approve the request that they've made, and they come as a rollover plan. Remember, we have tabled the budget for this current financial year. So as the financial year closed, the money that has not been spent will be built in as part of the rollover approvals that will actually be approved and will be implemented or be allocated in during the budget adjustment. So not have lost money to national, but what we need to do, we need to apply for rollovers. And this is the process that we are currently in, whereby there will be assessment of those requests that is made by various departments, and then approval will be indicated or communicated in the process. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Chair. Did the question says that there are illegal people occupying government properties? Oh, okay, you didn't say illegal. No, I think what we have issued a statement with regard to government employees who are occupying or government officials who are occupying our properties. The concern that we are raising is that some of these people
they have signed lease with the Department of Public Works and Roads. But they are not obliging to their contractual obligation. That is, they are not paying the rent as they are expected to. So what we have done, because this impact on our ability to collect revenue, we are saying to them, either you are going to pay whatever that is outstanding, or we are going to evict you. You would remember that we are in a process of disposing non-core assets of government. And some of these non-core assets, it's properties or houses belonging to the department. Now we want to dispose of these houses. And many of the people who occupy in these houses are officials of government. So as and when we try to sign deeds of sale, release these houses, we find out that some of these people are owing us. I can make an example that you would find that an official of government, we are selling a house of 650. This person is owing us 400 or 350. So if we allow that process to continue, it means he or she will be buying this house at nothing. The amount that is being owed, it's around 70 to 71 million. And that is why we are appointing a law firm to begin the process of either evicting or recovering our money. So that's where we are. Thank you very much. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, LGB, Mrs. people from media. You see, the person who asked this question, it seems he's from Pretoria because he got the whole information about NTI. So he's not from Northwest, but South Africa's one. Now, when you talk about the NTI, I need 30 minutes to clarify you. I need 30 minutes to clarify you. So, but I will try to summarize, but it's not going to be enough. Northwest is the shareholder of the entity, and Gauteng, they pay subsidy for those routes. Now, the challenges of NTI have been there for some time, for many years, before me, before some of you were born. Now, we are currently engaged in the process of assisting the entity. Now, we have challenges. There was a report from the management of the entity. How can we assist the entity? They make some proposals, many proposals. Now, one of those proposals, we took the proposal of appointing a BRP. BRP is like we are appointing an administrator in a municipality. Now, the BRP started very well for a month. He was supposed to submit the report within 25 days in terms of the Companies Act. He never submitted the report. He requested an extension for November. He never submitted. He requested an extension for the end of March. He never submitted the BRP. He also opened separate account from the account of entity. I'm answering the question of people are not paid. It's true. People are not paid. They were paid 60% for February, nothing for March. They are now waiting for April. Now we are getting subsidy from Gauteng. Why not receiving money now? It's because Gauteng is not happy to pay the money to entity, where the money will go to the BRP, and BRP will use that money for another reason. But where are we now? We are in court, yes. For two issues. One, we went to court to interdict the BRP because he was selling buses. We succeeded. Now we are in court to remove him totally. We have submitted all the papers. We are waiting for a court date in Pretoria. For now, let's talk after the court. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Now, on the 17th of February this year, the Minister of Finance wrote to different municipalities indicating that if they don't spend these conditional grants, they might stop that money. And you are correct, immediately after that we had a session with all the municipalities. And we said to them as the province that you need to spend this money because this money is meant for the people of the Northwest, and there are challenges in this province as it relates to service delivery. You must respond to what the minister has requested you to. And he gave them 7 days to respond. And all of them, they assured us that they are working on responses. Those monies will be committed, and so on. We even said, where there is no capacity, because we understand that in other municipalities, your senior positions are vacant and so on, you are at liberty to interact with the department in order for the department to assist you to fill in the missing words. So the unfortunate thing is that on the 25th of March this year, the minister wrote to the MEC of Cocta, which is myself, indicating that he has taken a decision to stop funds to 9 municipalities, which I suppose you already know about those municipalities, 9 of them. We officially wrote to all the 9 of them as the province. Firstly, reminding them of the session that we had with all of them, and secondly, requesting them that firstly they must indicate as to why they did not respond positively to what the minister had requested them to do on the 17th of February. Secondly, we also said any official in any municipality who is a culprit or who was involved in this anomaly, they must indicate what action have they taken against that individual. And we said they must submit that report before end of business on Friday. And I must indicate that few of them have responded, not all. We have had a session with some of them this past Sunday, a day before yesterday, in Rustenburg. We also indicated to them that we will not leave this thing as is, because in the Northwest we shall no longer tolerate a situation where money is allocated and we fail to use the money when there are so many challenges in the province. That's what we have repeated. And we have said that if they don't act against those officials who did not do what is expected of them, will have no option but also to act at a political level. So we are giving them that time. But I can tell you my birthday is on the 5th of May. By the 5th of May, if we don't have a response and so on, I might have a very nice birthday present. Now, we have as well taken a decision that the reality of the matter is that in the Northwest we have just too many incomplete projects. And it is not only housing, but for now I will focus on housing. Too many incomplete projects, including the one that you spoke about, called the Marang development behind the stadium and so on, which has been lying there for years and so on. What we did, we had convened everybody who is responsible. SHRA, the National Department, Provincial Department, and so on. And we said to them, can you explain to the MEC what led to this situation? Why is this project incomplete? who was responsible and what action was taken. And we did receive a report, by the way, that no, indeed, things were not done properly in that project. The SIU is involved, the Hawks are involved, and the matter will be going to court in due course. And on the basis that the matter is still sub judice, will not get into details. But like I said, we are getting into the bottom of this matter, because what is important, because in the process, there are just too many things that are said in the public media or in public platforms. We want culprits to be arrested, and we must recover the money of the state. This is what is key. And once we have recovered the money of the state, if we are to proceed with that project, we must proceed with that project and complete it. So this is where we are, and so on. Hopefully by June this year, this matter will be before court and so on. And those who are involved, their properties, their nice cars and so on, will be attached in order for us to recover the money of the state. And that goes to other projects that are all over this province that are incomplete. We have had an engagement with the minister. And I said to the minister, unfortunately, the reality of the matter is that those projects are there and they are not complete. And we might have spent money. We can come with a reason that says it was what we called tranche payments. Money was given to municipalities. Municipality took the whole money and gave it to the contractor. And the contractor decided not to complete the project, but to buy nice cars, nice shoes, and so on. And the project was incomplete and so on. We said at the end of the day, our people are suffering. As government, we must intervene, whilst we are dealing with these ones who did not complete this project and so on. Those others who are still dragging their feet and so on, we said they must be terminated. As we speak, a lot of them have been terminated as we speak. Those who are failing to do what is expected of them, we have terminated them. Others, we have given them letters of intention. We have said, we can see you are on the ground. We are supposed to have completed this project by now. We have not done it. Pull up your socks. Your failure to do so, we are going to terminate you as well. And the decision that we took as a department was that we shall never again appoint contractors who are incompetent to do this work. Because at the end of the day, people who are blamed are politicians. We can give you all this explanation that it is not us who are building houses, we are appointing contractors, it's contractors, but people out there, they simply say, we voted for you, we know you, we don't know that contractor, we don't know who's the HOD or the chief director, we know you, so we must punish you. That is why we have taken keen interest to ensure that we intervene expeditiously. We have also intervened on the challenges of water. You will recall we have spoken on many occasions. The minister was here. We have established a steering team, a technical team to look into the challenges that we have in the province. That exercise is done. What we are now busy with is implementation. Projects are running. If you go to Bojanala today, if you go to Rustenburg, Tlhabane, Ward 1, Ward 5, Ward 7, and so on, you will see Mahalis is busy, putting in the pipeline and so on. We are getting water from Valkop and so on, to go also to Luhurutsi and so on. So already processes have started. So we are intervening and we are running with the necessary speed. I've also had an opportunity again yesterday to meet with people that we are told that they are stopping projects. Others, they are calling themselves business forums. Others, they are calling themselves whatever and so on. I went to Rustenburg and I convened all of them under one roof. And I said, the only thing which we can't tolerate is for anybody to stop a project like a project of water. That will never be tolerated. If people have got issues, they don't have to stop a project. They must indicate that there are issues. We'll sit in a boardroom and resolve those issues while the project is continuing and is running. Because unfortunately, we have no time to waste time. Time is not on our side and so on. So we are intervening, we are getting into this situation and so on, and we hope that the situation will improve. We did indicate when we spoke to some of you previously that what we are using a smart approach. And we are not saying our predecessors were not using the smart approach and so on. Because if you don't use the smart approach and so on, you'll always go to meetings and say plans, 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 plans. But those plans, there must be time frames. Now you'll realize that all our plans, there are time frames. So you'll have an opportunity to come back to us and say, but we said this would have been completed by this time. Have you completed it? Some of you, we went with you to Moses Kotane when we were dealing with issues of water. There are clear time frames. I'm going there again just after the 27th of April to go and check whether there's progress and so on. So when we have time frames, we are bound by those time frames. If we can't meet those time frames, we'll say we were not able to meet those time frames. So our plans, we are using a SMART principle. They are specific, they are measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. That's the principle which is going to help everybody, and it will also help you, including those who are playing an oversight over us, to check us and say, you said by this date we'd have done this, why have you not done it, and so on. So we are intervening. The last point, like Honorable Khosha was saying, there is no 1 billion that went back to national fiscus. There's nothing like that. As we have indicated, we have said the money that is unspent is 1 billion, and we are specific about each and every department, health, education, and so on, how much is it, etc. But they still have an opportunity to request for rollovers and so on. So that money is here. There's no money that is lost anyway. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MSCs. That was it. I will just check if there are still hands. Okay, this is going to be the last round, so make sure that you raise your hand now. It will be now or never. Zebulon, Prefilwe, who else? Oh, Jabu. Those are the last 3 hands. Right, Zebulon.
Thank you very much. I don't know this question should I take it to Nahosh or Katamanu. We have seen interventions being taken to municipalities. Each and every new councillors, there's interventions taken there and so on. But there is no change that is taking place in those municipalities. Now I just want to understand that with regards to these 8 municipalities, what criteria has been used to place these municipalities under section 1395A and C? What are you hoping to achieve? The second one goes to the primary. I don't know whether should I say it's raining or it's pouring. We understand that there is no municipal manager and several senior positions are still vacant. What is that going to do with the situation in Kasana North? Because at the ultimate end, communities are the ones that are suffering
Refilo? Zebulon, from which media house are you?
From SABC.
Do the same, Fifi, indicate your media house.
the feeling that the government officials are not in touch with them and the reality of what's really happening. They are not getting their pleas and challenges addressed. Is that being attended to so that residents of the Northwest Province are happy in terms of service delivery? You also touched on government officials that are not paying their dues in terms of municipal revenues. I don't know if you could listen. Are they being held accountable before a plea is being made or to say they need to pay their municipal supersabone? How are government officials being held accountable so that they equally do that and to some extent set an example to residents to pay their municipal revenues?
Chabo?
We have two questions. The first question is on allocation of water employees within the Georgia municipality. Second question is the question on additional resources on the financial recovery plan. Additional resources that needs to be needed on, we would like to find indicators that informs the killers, especially when it comes to governance and institutional capacity. What indicators or metrics did this intervention use in order to motivate for those additional resources? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Trinisi.
No, thank you very much. Let me respond first to Zebulon. Look, the intervention that has been taking place over years, in terms of the reports and the studies, we do admit that they've not yielded the desired results. But if you read Section 139 in its entirety, because Section 139, not only 139.5, 139.1b, the ones that we've invoked as Executive Council, was a discretionary intervention. And that intervention was led by COCTA in terms of supporting municipalities whereby administrators were seconded. And we do accept that there were challenges with that. Now, during that process of those interventions, in terms of the assessments that have been made across the country, those interventions, they've been invoked whereby municipalities had financial challenges, whereby gradually they continue to adopt unfunded budgets. At this point, municipalities are now in serious financial crisis, and which now actually has confirmed with poor service delivery on the ground, because municipalities have continued to adopt budgets that are not funded. You know, it's like when you are budgeting for a holiday where you don't know that you don't have money to pay for your flights and so forth, and hire a car. So that's what municipalities have done. And as a result of that, if you look into Section 139, you go to 139.5, that's where it calls for mandatory intervention, whereby the Minister of Finance actually kicks in imposing mandatory interventions, whereby it calls for financial recovery plan. It's like your business rescue type of an intervention, whereby we go there, we need to cleanse the financial status of the municipality, but you can't do it alone. You need to ensure that you work in the entire ecosystem, your governance, your institutional capacity, which institutional capacity part of your organizational development plan will come into place. The issue that MEC Malloy will bring up in terms of your skills audit. Because we also need, as and when we implement the financial, we must build capacity, the institutional capacity of the municipalities, because those are challenges that have been observed. And where we come from with this process, in 2019, as we started the sixth administration, we were actually given and handover report as Budget Council across all MECs in the country got their reports. In the Northwest, actually, we had 13 municipalities that are in financial challenges, and the ones that are in serious financial crisis are 8. And we immediately implemented discretionary implementation. We started with Bojanala, which I can tell you, if you go to Bojanala, it's not hunky-dory, but at least there's progress that can be have recorded, even from an audit point of view. We then, as we started this process, the Deputy Minister of Finance, together with the Deputy Minister of COGTA, Ntate Bapela at the time, and Dr. Masondo, David Masondo, the Deputy Minister of Finance, they had roadshows across all EXCOs to take us through what needs to happen. And this is what the brief that we got as EXCO at the time, that we need to impose financial recovery because we can continuously invoke Section 139, the discretionary one that we used to do, but we will not yield the expected results because municipalities are already in financial crisis. So we need to get into rebuilding and reconstructing the budget and treasury office or the finance department of municipalities. And part of that was doing an analysis of capacity, looking into the qualifications, the staff complement into those units, and we realized that no, we really need to go in with a multidisciplinary team. And that multidisciplinary team is not only about the BTO, it needs COGTA to be on board. And as a result of that process, the national cabinet took a decision that in the country we are having this type of municipalities. There are 43 in the country. And of the 43, 12 are in the northwest, but the 4 needs discretionary, 8 are in dire crisis. This is the 8 that we are talking about, whereby we establish a multidisciplinary team, whereby your COGTA, your COGSTA, our COGTA in the province, DCOG nationally, National Treasury, Provincial Treasury, SALGA, Water and Sanitation Department, ESCOM, my apologies, ESCOM and also we are involving other relevant stakeholders that we think, as and when your water service authorities were supposed to form part of this, were part of this engagement. So we started to do a consultative process. I think MEC Maloi, LGP, when he took you through the statement, he indicated that the previous local government administration and the current beyond the post-2021 to municipalities, we've taken them through this process so that they start to be seized with the challenges that are confronting them of why are they not being able to provide basic services to their communities. And as a result of that multidisciplinary process, we developed the guidelines. We developed the terms of reference. We developed an induction manual. So we took everybody on board. We had a rigorous process of induction to all municipalities, all councils, officials, and EXCO also was taken on board so that we start to realize the importance of focusing on these 8 municipalities so that we turn around the financial status of the municipalities. But with the process of doing that, COGTA also must play its part, where it must strengthen its governance structures, also must strengthen, sometimes municipalities have taken resolutions that also contravene MFMA. And there's not been any consequences. At some point, the MEC for COGTA has invoked Section 106 of the Constitution, whereby there must be an investigation on particular councillors. So such processes will be led by COGTA as well. So we'll work as a multidisciplinary team to ensure that the entire ecosystem of your governance, your institutional capacity, financial status, it becomes an enabler to start to drive the service delivery machinery. I must share with you, friends of the media, that this is not going to be an easy process. It's a process that actually would also need municipal officials being committed to the cause of making sure that they are up to the task and are able to adapt to the game change of financial recovery plans. Because it's a process that will assist us to start also to consolidate the plan on how do we start to collect revenue of the municipality. This consolidation of a revenue of municipality requires a system, the internal controls that are able actually to assist us on making sure how do we start to identify other revenue streams. Of course, working together with COGTA, and COGTA will come up with that support. How we got this process to be where we are with EXCO reps, we went through a bidding process as Provincial Tribe. We didn't go and handpick people. No, we opened a tender. All experts did bid, lodged their expertise with us, and there was a panel of assessment led by Provincial Treasury, National Treasury, where panel members was COGTA in the province, DCOG, SALGA. They were part of that assessment, and all these people were interviewed in terms of this intervention. How are you going to do it? So how are you going to assist us to turn the situation up? They launched that, and they were shortlisted, they were interviewed, they have demonstrated the expertise that they have in coming to play, and after that, that's how they got appointed. And they were also taken through an induction process. Also, they are also now on a change management process, a program, whereby they must lead the change management program, because also need your entire institution to be on a change management program. So we've already started to do the look and feel of that as and when we introduced the EXCO reps last week. The issue of, I think, Jabu, what you're asking about additional resources, we have no choice. We have no choice. If you only focus on your BTO and you don't focus on how do you strengthen your governance structures in terms of they must start to conduct oversight over administration, you're still stuck with the same problem. But also in terms of institutional capacity, that's why MEC for COCTA will robustly come with a program of skills audit. Because if you don't belong in a particular, you don't have, like for example, let's make an example on local economic development. I mean, as and when we drive this program, must assist us to start to build in and ignite your LED component also to start to reposition itself and start to identify the economic opportunities that can start to ignite an economic activity at the local sphere of government. So we have no choice. We'll have to budget and to look into the resources from also an institutional capacity point of view, where as and when the MEC for COCTA drives must be able to account even not only, we only give an account of BTO. We must know that how many AGIs do we require. And that is why through DCOC we are working with, MECs working through, we also have MISA forming part of this process. By the way, MISA was part also of the panel to interview some of these experts, because from an infrastructure point of view also, it's another lever that is a strategic lever to start to, how do we respond to infrastructure challenges within our municipalities. And from a treasury point of view, we are looking at it at an infrastructure governance, whereby we need to strengthen the governance structures, but everybody will play his role. Spaces with the oversight, my councillors are empowered, impact chairs are also being taken on board, and also through impact committees, we'll be going back to them also to take them through the change management program. I think that issue of the resources, I think I've covered ground on it, because it's not only the pillar, BTO, but it's the entire. But if you look into all these pillars, if we are able to synergize them accordingly, there will be change on the ground in terms of service delivery. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks, Chair. Now, Refilwe, I must indicate and to all the media house that we have developed a plan since 2019 when we came into the office of all our roads in the province. So we know what is the status of each road. Roads that needs to be upgraded and roads that needs to be rehabilitated and all that. So we have a master plan in place. And because of some of the challenges that we are having, because, we would normally say that government has competing interest. You need to build schools, you need to build clinics, you need to upgrade your roads and build houses and many other things. So in terms of the priority, some of our roads would be maintained so that they are trafficable. As and when we receive budget, would prioritize some of these roads to upgrade them from gravel to tar. Now, Mabule Road, it's one of the roads that where we have completed a design. We had previously, and I think it was in 2019 or 2020, we have tried to appoint a contractor and so that the contractor can re-gravel the road, but the community refused and rejected the contractor. In my engagement with the traditional leadership around that area, I think it was November, when we were introducing a contractor for D414. The traditional leadership have requested us to review the position and maybe appoint the contractor to come and do the re-graveling. So in answering your question, what I'm saying is that we have the design in place. As and when we receive funding, we prioritize this route. But lastly, I must also indicate that we are partnering with ESA Infrastructure for South Africa. And you would have heard the Premier during his State of the Province address made mention of that ESA has committed, we have submitted our plans to them, and they have committed some amount to assist us in trying to upgrade some of our roads, because our approach is that we do the phase-in approach. We'll do a 10-kilometer, the next financial year we do another 10-kilometer and all that. I'm not sure, I think the Premier is engaging because the person who was the CEO is now the Minister of Electricity. But I know that the Premier is engaging with the Office of the President on that undertaking. So as and when we receive funds, we'll revisit that route. But like I'm saying, that the traditional leadership have requested us to review that process, so we are on course. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. Airport is like NTI. You see, it's like crying in a wrong funeral. You are Mahikeng, Dikmunso Airport, and you are Johannesburg. You said something about transparent. Let me be transparent. But I know one day my transparent will kill me. The money we need from those airports as a department, the government cannot afford. We are giving plus minus 20 million per year. We need 250 both to 500 million to revive them, both of them. But good news is that people who want to assist us in Mahikeng Airport, they are coming on board. You will hear something in 4 weeks' time. Also, some cities intervening in Johannesburg will also get good news. But you can't teach an old dog new tactics. Thank you very much.
No, firstly, we have said senior positions in different municipalities are vacant. We gave them a deadline that all those positions should have been filled by end of next month. So May is going to be an eventful month. And some of them have already moved. It's quite a few of them that are still lagging behind. 2, we have said where positions are filled, there is still lack of capacity. And we said we can't talk about capacity building up until we know what skills do we have there, what are we lacking, and so on. And therefore, skills audit must commence. That project has started. The project of auditing has started, and it is moving with the necessary speed. We have said in between, because whilst with this skills audit and so on, if there is no capacity, it means still service delivery is going to suffer. What is it that you are doing in between? We said we have interacted with the University of the Northwest. We said to them, you are here in the Northwest, you have all these graduates and so on, and we need them. We need to plug them in immediately into those municipalities to go and assist where we don't have these skills that we require. They've agreed. We went back, the question was, if you plug them in and so on, do we have money to pay these graduates to do this work? Because they can't be there and doing this work without anything. There's a need for stipend. And we said we don't have enough money, unfortunately, but we must do something about it. We decided to get into our cars, and we used I drove from Boch, not from Mahikeng. Those ones in Mahikeng, I think they used the N14. I used N12. We went to Johannesburg. We said, Mersita, we have this program, and this program must start now. We can't wait for the next financial year, adjustments and so on. It will take forever. We don't have time. Can you come on board? We need you to bring in money and so on. They said, no, it's fine. We hear you. Your presentation is good. We'll go to the board. 2 days, they went to the board. The board approved, but not the whole amount. We came back. I said, Premier, I've sorted this out with Mersita. They've given us some money and so on, but I think they need some persuasion because we need more. He went there on his own. He spoke to them. We spoke this morning. We are going to meet with them. They are saying it is possible. We can increase what we have given you and so on. So we are zooming into this thing. So we are addressing these challenges that we have in municipalities in order to ensure that these interventions, they bear fruits. That's what we want to do. So this exercise, it must be done, and it must be done expeditiously. That is why we are spending sleepless nights. Karisano Molopo. There was an intervention administrator. He was there. His term came to an end. He gave us a closeout report because we have insisted that we can't be sending administrators to municipalities at the end of the day. We don't get closeout reports and so on. So we got the closeout report. It will be presented to the cluster and to EXCO. But the question was, what happens in between? Because EXCO must take a decision based on those recommendations and so on. Yesterday, I received a letter from the municipality requesting the province to second a person in the meantime. As I left the office, I said HOD and them, they must work on it. So we are on top of it. There will be that necessary intervention. And you will agree with me that since the intervention, there is a relative stability in Karisano Molopo as we speak. There is a lot of progress and so on. Mokete wa dikatso fedile go. Go na le mokete nyano nice anong and so on. So that intervention did work, and it is working very well and so on. We hope that at some point, some other municipalities will go to Karisano Molopo, go and benchmark there. Because we solved both two problems. Because problem was both administrative and political. So we dealt with both of them and so on. So there is progress. We are happy. Really, Harry is correct. You know, last week Thursday, myself, himself, his team, his department led by the HOD and everybody, we were with Sun City. We said Pilansberg must operate, and Pilansberg must operate urgently because there are just too many people who want to come to the Northwest. Before last week Thursday, we had a delegation from China who were saying to us, you know, we want to have a direct flight from China to Pilansberg. This thing of going to OR Tambo, then we drive from OR Tambo to Pilansberg. People are hijacking us and so on and so forth. So we made those interventions. And Sun City said, we are on board. We are ready. There's money. We have established a technical team to look into all the things that need to be fixed quickly in that airport. So that airport is going to work very soon. Honorable Hari will announce on what's going to happen to the Kosimuntsiwa airport. There are serious interventions. Others are legal and so on. We wouldn't want to go into details in this press conference, but he will give you the details in 4 weeks. In 4 weeks' time. I've spoken about water, the interventions that we are making on the challenges of water. It is not easy, and we agree that water is life. Nobody can ever survive without water. And that is why we have taken it upon our shoulders, that irrespective of the fact that water and sanitation is not a provincial competency, it's a national competence, but it affects us. We decided to get in there. That's why you don't have a min-mac on water and sanitation, because it's a national competence. But it is our interest. It is our people who are suffering here. That is why we have decided to get involved. That is why almost every day I spoke to the Department of Water and Sanitation. I speak to Mahalis Water. I speak to these other water service authorities in order to intervene in this area. Some of these graduates, is also to intervene in that area, because some of these municipalities who are water service authorities and so on, they don't have the capacity. They don't have engineers and so on. That is why we requested the university to intervene. So we are intervening despite the fact that it is not a provincial competence. People must understand that it is going to take time, by the way. It is going to take time and so on, but we are getting there because we are focused on this thing on a daily basis, and we'll keep our eyes on the ball without fail. Now, Honorable Khosho did speak about the question you raised and so on. I wouldn't want to repeat it, but we are doing extremely well. We think that before the end of this year or by end of this year, we will be reporting positive results in all these interventions that we are making. Because we said we need to have one plan, one budget, because if we work together, if we work as one, we'll succeed. By the way, just to add something, you know, when we had a session with the COSI last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we invited the mining houses around Bojanala, and they were there. And they were all saying, we are willing to assist, we are here, we can look into our plans, etc. I'm now convening a session with all municipalities, mining houses, the COSI, all departments, and so on. All of us, I want us to put our plans on the table. Municipalities must say, these are our IDPs. The mines must say, our SLPs are like this. Departments must say, this is how we are going to do things and so on. We must integrate those plans and begin to reprioritize and so on. I've said to the mines, one of the things that I would want them to investigate is possibilities of assisting people that are outside the mining towns, because they are just focused in those mining towns and so on. And they've assured me that they will go and discuss when we meet next time. We must see how do they intervene to ensure that once and for all we address the challenges that we have in this province. And I always say, by the way, in terms of minerals, this is the richest province in the country, the richest. But as it relates to service delivery and so on, things are bad, as if we are not the richest and so on. 70% of the platinum of the world comes from this province. And the situation, if you look at the situation leaves much to be desired. So that is why we are intervening. We are bringing in even our other social partners. All of us, we must address these challenges that we have in the province. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MEC. That was the last round. Tebetsile is indicating to me that there is a final follow-up that has been sent through the pages.
All right. Thank you very much. The question is from Ulifiyo Vilegas again, from Mabatu FM. To Ntatile Hari, I'm reading questions of the car. Is ATI subsidizing buses? Where is the department fixing issues solar transport? The second question, we are actually posing to MEC Mutumi and MEC Mutumi, I understand it's not yet that question is as follows. MEC Mutumi, what issue your schools? Are you buying these mobile classes or hiring them? If so, on both, how much is the department spending? That's the last question.
That will be the last one, Zebulun. Oh, bogus employees could it about. Okay. Okay. Whether the research or not. Okay.
No, maybe let me elaborate further on the The issue is that in Tsawata, there are employees who were working as EPWP previously. Some of them, they are continuing to earn money from the without their knowledge. They will only get notification from SARS to say you are owing this much. Some, they are not working at all, but there's a salary by without their knowledge. So we just want to check with him. So is he aware about this bogus employees?
Okay, Zebulun, let me ask you this question. However, without their knowledge, is the money not getting into their bank accounts?
Typical example, the person that I know, the person that I know is that what he told me, only employee EPWP, but there's a point where he received a notification from SARS only to find out higher from Aspire. Only SARS number is going on ka leina la gagwe ena sa itse seo.
Okay.
Go na le madi a tsenang ko bankeng e leng gore allegedly a tsena ko bankeng ya mare le ko bankeng ga ana seo.
Okay, all right. No, that's fine. Those are the final ones.
No, just for information sharing. We are not fixing buses in Tshwane for NTI. Let me repeat myself. We are the shareholder of NTI. That means we are owning NTI as Northwest. Our bus, they are using routes in Gauteng, in Tshwane. Remember, Mabopane, Harangua, Winterfell, and so forth, before they were Northwest, Bubuta Tshwane. Now things have changed. Now you can't move a road from Tshwane to Northwest. It's there forever. So there's nothing wrong for Gauteng to fix roads in Tshwane because of that is the area. Now, we are not paying money. We are owning the license of NTI. Gauteng is paying subsidy for those routes we are using in Gauteng for their people. So there's no crisis here. Now, on the scholar transport, the future looks bright. Looks bright. Very bright. We used to operate with 300 million. It's now 450 million. Thank you very much, MEC Hosh. From 300 extra 150 million now. We are at 450 million. The tender for the scholar transport closes on the 3rd of April. Now we are in the process of supply chain, your evaluation, your adjudication. There's no crisis. Thank you very much.
It's only its last question again. Bogas. Okay. Now, the department that I'm heading is called COGSTA. Now, COGSTA is Cooperative Governance, Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs. So I'm not a super mayor and so on. So I'm not heading local government. There are 22 municipalities in the Northwest. All of them, they have mayors and executive mayors. They have municipal managers, Section 56, 57, directors, and so on. So they are a different sphere of government. But constitutionally, we have a responsibility to intervene and to provide support where support is lacking, particularly your Section 154 of the Constitution. So as and when we intervene and so on, more often than not, we are guided by that section. There might be other sections, 139 and so on and so forth. So we might not know what is happening on a daily basis in those different municipalities. We'll only know when we get reports that there's this particular situation and so on, we are then able to intervene or to investigate. So once the information is provided, we'll then investigate and see what is happening. So we now have this information, which we did not have. But what we can tell you is that we have seconded a person in Ditsobota to go and assist there, including finance. They will also zoom into this situation. But we know that this challenge that we are talking about is not only limited to Ditsobota. There might be other areas and so on. So as we intervene, we'll uncover some of the things that are happening and so on. So it's going to take time, but we'll have to correct it. So it will take time. So I'm here, I'm in Mabatu. I'm not in Lichtenberg. But we'll interact with those who are in Lichtenberg. They must tell us what is happening. So those are day-to-day runnings, we'll not know. And then in conclusion, Honorable Hosho will just, because Honorable Mutsumi is not here, on matters of education, buying of mobile classes, and so on and so forth. If Honorable Hosho has got the information in that area, I will request her to zoom into it. And then from there, we've been here for quite some time, since 10 o'clock. It has been long. It's past 1 now. Honorable Khosho.
No, thank you very much. LGP, you caught me off guard. I would not have the specific amount that has been spent. But what I can confirm is, yes, they buy them from their infrastructure budget. It's not rented. They are being bought from their infrastructure budget. And what I know that part of the alternatives that they're trying to also be creative. As and when there's infrastructure completed in terms of class and software, they redirect some of them to other schools where there's a need. They do that as well. So, but in terms of the rents and cents, I will not be able to give you the exact amount. But maybe we'll refer that to the department, and we can, I think what we can share with them maybe as a preliminary, we'll also be able to, as they publish their expenditure as at the 31st of May, you'll know more or less how much they've spent in terms of their mobile classrooms. Thank you, LGB.
Thank you very much, MECs. Ladies and gentlemen, in the event there are colleagues who still have questions that they think are pressing or which they did not think about earlier, you'll be afforded an opportunity after we've officially closed this media briefing. We'll request the MECs just to be around for 3 to 4 minutes because veteran Sol in particular has indicated that he would, so we'll afford you the opportunity just after we've closed the veteran. But on that note, we want to take the opportunity to thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of this briefing.